At first glance, you'd never guess the town of Bracken has more than 20 million inhabitants. But every summer evening, just as the sun begins to drop, the bats come out to meet and greet. This is the most crowded bat cave in the world, and on this night, 35 members of Bat Conservation International from Wyoming to Australia have come here just for this show, to watch as the bats pour from the opening and stretch in a black ribbon across the sky. It takes 2 hours for the cave to empty.
This is absolutely marvelous.
These bats are the Mexican freetail variety. In June every year, female bats migrate to this cave from Mexico, each giving birth to a lone pup. 5 weeks later, mother and offspring fly out together, eating their way through thousands of mosquitoes and crop-damaging moths.
Well, the reason they're called Mexican free-tailed bats is because they have a little tail.
Bob Benson is with Bat Conservation International.
Mexican free-tailed bats have a long, narrow wing. As you can see here, it's stretched out like this. Most bats have a broader wing. By having such a narrow wing, the free-tails are the jet fighters of the bats in the United States. In fact, this bat has a capability of flying more than 25 miles per hour and up to 10,000 feet.
20 miles north of Austin, in Round Rock, Texas, is the McNeil Bridge. Virtually ignored by passing cars, at least 1 million bats are packed like sardines inside the crevices.
Most of these right here are pups.
Bat biologist Merlin Tuttle is sensitive to bat prejudice.
Probably the single most important misconception that people still hold about bats is that they're dangerous. They're mostly rabid. They're going to get in my hair. Maybe they're going to bite me and I won't even know it and I'll die of rabies. The truth is that even a sick bat almost never becomes aggressive. In an entire lifetime of studying bats worldwide, I have still never seen an aggressive bat.
On summer nights in Austin, hundreds, sometimes thousands of people gather on and around the Congress Avenue Bridge to see almost 2 million bats. As if bound by an imaginary clock, they begin to emerge. First a trickle, 1 bat here, 5 bats there. Then their furious, swirling ballet streams across the sky. An evening picnic is never spoiled by mosquitoes. The bats eat them all.
This particular bat colony is probably the only one that I know well, and it's spectacular. And it's so spectacular that I wanted to bring my friends from throughout the country to come look at it.
The reason there's so many bats in our bridges here in Austin is that originally there were enormous bat caves here that are now under concrete. The food's still here, plenty of insects to eat over nearby farmlands and over the city at large, but they don't have homes, or they didn't, until we happened to build some bridges that had the right spaces in them to permit bats to rear young.
Austin embraces bats because they eat so many bugs, and because bats generate $8 million in tourist revenue each summer.
Well, I knew that the hotel business was going to be batty, but I didn't realize that the bats were going to give so much of our revenue.
Regardless of how much good news bats bring to Texas, they're still misunderstood and often persecuted.
Most of these bats have to migrate south for winter into Mexico, where many people still completely confuse them with vampire bats, are terrified of them, and so they go out and they burn and dynamite caves where millions of bats can be killed in single incidents.
Bat defenders are vigorously trying to educate communities north and south of the border about the benefits of letting bats live, and they believe it will work. After all, in 1984, Austin newspaper headlines screamed bats were invading the city. But today, with a lot of information and a lot fewer mosquitoes, Austin proudly calls itself the bat capital of America.